Welcome to the Echo Essentials podcast.
I'm Dave Dale.
And I'm Scott Clark. On today's show, we talked to Councilor Gary Gardiner. And today we talked a little bit about not his opposition to the new twin pad, but his hope for the future. We talked about a couple of things with him.
And we found out whether he's running for mayor next time.
Yes, he states it on the show. But before we get to that, Dave and I will talk a little bit about Garbage Day and how does the math on Garbage Day? It doesn't make any sense to me. We'll talk about that. But before we get to all of that, a word from today's sponsor, Voyager Aviation.
Founded in 1968, Voyager Aviation is a proud member of our community, providing worldwide aviation services from our headquarters right here in North Bay. If you're looking for a challenge, change, or want to expand your current career in aviation, Voyager is hiring for a wide range of technical and non-technical roles, including pilots, aircraft maintenance personnel, corporate administration, machinists, supply chain professionals, and more. Be part of a workforce that is over 400 strong, supporting humanitarian, government, defense, and civil aviation operations around the world. For a career in aviation and beyond, learn more about open positions and career paths at voyav.com.
Dave, I'm perplexed about something about Garbage Day. Because, it was just a short time ago. We had Thanksgiving, so Monday was off. Yeah, we have Monday off. We're a Monday garbage pickup family in our neighborhood, so that means Tuesday they pick it up. But the part I can never figure out is how they make up that day, because they say, the city of North Bay says, well, it's just pushed by a day. Okay, that makes sense. You're Monday, Tuesday, that makes sense. But what if you're Friday? How do you make up a day of garbage pickup on a short work week? Do we know? Ben, do we know? Did we know anything about this?
Yeah, so this is from northbay.ca. Now, this is the recycling calendar.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's the same thing. They push it forward a day. So Tuesday through Saturday.
So if it's a full week, like a normal week, do they do pick up on Saturday?
That's what it shows.
So the Saturday, is it pushed to Sunday?
Yeah. Is
There is no
Saturday pushed to
Saturday.
Sunday? There is no Saturday?
No, it's just Monday to Friday.
You just said they pick up on Saturday.
If it gets pushed back forward.
Ah.
Normally it's Monday to Friday and then they get...
Okay, so they will work an extra day. They'll work a Saturday then to do that extra day of pickup.
Yeah.
Okay, it's solved then. Okay.
That was kind of anticlimactic.
I know. I thought it was going to be way more complex than
Well,
that.
it's different out in East Ferris.
Why? What happens in East Ferris?
Because I was expecting just that for it to be the next day after Thanksgiving. And I went out when I was leaving that morning and everybody had their garbage out and it was all picked up when I got home. And I'm like, oh, I missed it.
I've seen that before too. You ever seen sometimes on a long weekend, they'll actually pick up the garbage?
Yeah.
I go, how? I don't know which. I wonder why some days they pick it up. Maybe because it's a federal holiday?
I don't know.
Maybe that's it?
Yeah. Anyways.
Interesting. When it's closed on I was just going through the whole calendar. On Good Friday, if it's closed, because now it's a Friday, it just gets pushed to Saturday. So the people who are supposed to be picked up Friday collect one day later.
But normally, on a regular week, they don't do pickup on Saturday.
No.
Okay, so Saturday is that extra day that they put in to do the pickup on short work weeks. And what happens in East Ferris?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just waited for the next Wednesday.
And then put it out. In East Ferris, how many bags can you put out?
They just changed that rule, but I've never, it takes me 4 weeks to even get one bag. Mm-hmm. Somehow some of it disappears in the fire pit, and I don't have a lot of garbage, like the papers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I start a lot of fires.
So is it 2 bags then? Or are you?
I think we have, you have to have it in a container.
It can't be just a bag.
No, you can't leave a bag on the side of the highway. In East
Really?
Ferris.
Why is that?
Bears, raccoons.
Yeah, because then the animals, animals on the side of the high. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
I see why.
So it has to be enclosed or into a one of those containers.
Yeah, okay, I get that. And do you know, in East Ferris or even the surrounding areas, do they take the trash, do they dump it at Merrick?
No, we have a landfill out off of, I think it's Bertha.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have one. Yeah.
So East Ferris has their own?
Yeah.
Does Calendar have their own?
That I do not know.
Because they must share it in some way. When I say share it, they would have to have tipping fees and everything to make it all happen. But you would think that has to be, that they would share that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they may have a deal with North Bay and it goes to Merrick. Maybe. I don't think East Ferris would take it, but it could be.
My radio career, there's certain things that I remember in my radio career where the phones were red hot. People wanted to talk about certain things. And when Vic Fideli was mayor, when he introduced, he didn't introduce it. He floated the balloon, right, to see what would happen because he's smart enough that way. And he floated the balloon about buck a bag. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow, my phones blew up that day.
Oh, yeah.
People lost their minds when he was going to like a buck a bag kind of approach. So you pay for what you use sort of thing, right? And people lost their minds. It never ended up going through. But I think now in North Bay, if you want to put out more than 2 bags, you can get tags.
Yes.
Right? And it's probably $1, my guess, to do that.
Did you guys know that there is a North Bay Recycles app for your phone that tells you exactly when pickup days are?
Did not know that.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
I'm very impressed.
So it just tells you when to pick it up, or
it gives you all the landfill information, where it goes, what goes where, pickup days, garbage recycling.
Is there a cost associated with the extra tag if there's an extra tag for additional garbage?
So this is what it says for special consideration for garbage bag limit. I don't see. Yeah, so it looks like you may be eligible for waste exemption program if you have a valid reason for special consideration. So medical, if you have a medical condition, children in the household under the age of 4 in diapers, you'll be contacted at the email address or phone number provided on the form when the application is approved, denied, or more information is required.
And that allows you to have more garbage?
I think so. And then bag tags are available for purchase for times such as during spring clean or when moving. I'm just seeing if they gave a price. Oh, $2 per tag.
I would say if there's one area I go to on the city website is usually that area, waste management.
Yeah.
Is there a chance, Dave, can you send a note to Gord Young? Just sheer curiosity so you and I could just talk about it. I'd love to know the top 5, I'll say, pages, or where do people go when they go to the North Bay website? We don't have to know specific numbers or anything. It's just sort of like, what's the top 5? I bet you waste management is probably one of the tops. What do you think would be the tops?
Well, that would be in the top 5 for sure, in my estimation. Well, I go there often to the government section for meetings, minutes, and other documents.
I bet, let's have a Twiggs scone bet. I bet you that the meetings and notes isn't in the top 3.
Okay, I'll bet you that.
Scone?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So find out.
None of those raisin ones.
Why
None of those raisin ones, though. Just
they don't have raisins in them.
Yes, they do. They've been brought here with raisins, and that's
Some of them do. Yeah.
Really?
I'm laughing because
no, not me.
I'm laughing because there's no way that's in the top 3. Because I'm on the website and I'm like, it's going to be forms and permits and licenses or like parking.
I don't know where. I was going to say top 5. I go maybe, but top 3.
I think you got me at the top 3, but I'll honor the bet. Yeah.
But how many people care about?
They probably go to how do I
Gord Rennick and Dave.
Yeah, like media people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's none of them left.
I didn't think that went through. I bet you a lot of people go to how do you book an ice rental or a park and find out that you can't do it online.
So it's interesting you said that because coming up next, we're going to speak with Gary Gardiner, and he's going to come in and talk about a number of issues. Specifically, we talk about arenas, and because he was pretty, strong-willed about his opinion on the arenas and that before he got onto council. So it's interesting how what he talks about now. But it was something you said in there about a system that you can book online that doesn't exist, but it exists in most municipalities or many municipalities.
Yeah, and actually that was one of the topics that was brought up when the staff were presenting their operational review implementation plan on the last special meeting on Monday. And Gary has been trying to get them to implement this particular type of online booking system because the neighboring municipalities have it, right? So, and it's been a booking and renting municipal facilities is probably what drives most teams and leagues crazy because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard because once you book, then you got to deposit and you can't cancel. And there's not a lot of, it's a lot easier when you can do it online.
It is interesting. But not having it online, they have greater control.
Yes.
Right. And the reason I say that is I'm a member at the North Bay Golf Club, and they don't have online booking for tee times yet. Almost virtually most courses now, you book everything online, right? They don't have it. You have to phone in to get a time, and you can only phone in 2 days in advance, and it drives many people crazy. But the beauty in it is that you can maintain control. So I'll go back to the hockey thing for a second. And I'm not the hockey guy. I was coach for 1 year, so I didn't have to do a lot of booking or anything like that because we were a house league. But I found it interesting. Once you get into the rep leagues and stuff like that, there's certain people that get all the best times. And it's like, why do they get all the best times if it should be spread out equally? And no, but there's certain people, for whatever reason, are grandfathered and they get the best times at the best rinks.
Interesting. I'm kicking myself now for not asking Gary about this because he was at the sport tourism meeting that was held at the Dome, at Canada's Dome, just a few weeks ago, organized by Dave Saad, who has a long history involved of working in the rec department and then being a
thorn in the side of the rec department.
Yes, exactly. I think he's actually probably one of the reasons why you can't just walk into City Hall anymore.
I've heard rumors about that.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. North Bay's got a reputation being very difficult to book and unbook and move things around and to deal with that. It's hopefully they improve it, and we'll hear what Gary has to say about that.
So just super quick, I was on Sudbury's website because I wanted to see what they did. They have a really neat system. You can book whatever you want. You can search for whatever you want. That's
great.
It's super easy.
Yeah, because right now you have to make a phone call, I think.
Yeah, well, if Sudbury has their system in place, North Bay better get its act together. You can even book the Cape Royal Arena where I grew up. Yeah.
Just before we get into the discussion with Gary, it was great having him in. Let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors, and that is the Laframboise real estate team at Realty Executives Local Group Inc. Brokerage. Woo! What a title on the back of your sweater. 17 years working together, and I love the way Natasha says this when she introduces the team. Not only Natasha on the team, not only Matt, but Phil Sagan and Adam Lacrosse. They've been guiding their clients over these 17 years and helping them into their forever home. So if you're selling, if you're buying, contact the Laframboise team. They're going to look after you. I just linked up my son with Matt. Matt's going to probably get him into his first home. So excited
congratulations.
about that.
That'd be cool.
That'll be really cool. Then he's out of our place and into his own.
That's the cool part.
Yeah, now he'll know why Dad walks around and shuts the lights off.
Yeah.
It's like why do dads do that? What are you going to say? Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Do you shut the lights off at the house?
After Dylan took off the other day, I had to go around and turn off every light.
Yeah,
after
it's crazy.
I'm not sure why.
Ben's laughing. Ben still leaves the lights on. He's still at that age.
I'm good at that.
No, I don't believe it.
Yeah, I had to pay electricity at some point in my life. I know what it's like.
Have you lived outside the home?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, for many years. Many a year.
Many a year?
And then COVID
By yourself or with other people?
By myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. I was out in Redbridge for a while. When I first started here, I was in Redbridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
That's why I was always a little bit later than 8:30 coming in.
So make sure you contact the Laframboise real estate team at Realty Executives Local Group, and thanks for sponsoring the Echo Essentials podcast.
Well, let's go talk to Gary right now. Today our guest is Councilor Gary Gardiner. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our discussion today, and hopefully we can do kind of a mini town hall.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Because
You're not going to shut us off, are you?
You only got 3 minutes.
Did you register in advance? Okay.
Yeah.
It was there. We had to go.
You had
to go there.
Had to go there. Well, right off the bat, an update on where we're sitting with the new arena twin pad proposal, and I want to talk about how your opinion on that project has evolved. Let's say from when you were running for.
Yeah, so for sure, I would have did an op-ed in Bay Today or whatever and said the current design was wrong location. I didn't like the design. Wasn't the flow wasn't there, and I said too much money, right? So what's changed is a couple things. We had COVID, and it drove the construction costs into the stratosphere, right? And so year over year, non-residential construction index was going up at least 12% per year. So in 3 years, you're at 36% more money, right? And so when we start to talk about what was pre-COVID price and what's post-COVID price, it's a completely different scenario. So, and I can tell you, the staff were able to get that grant from the federal government, the carbon net zero grant from the Green Building Council, and that's $26 million. And if we didn't have that $26 million, we wouldn't be talking arena today. There's just no way we could afford the kind of price increases that happened in the construction industry. So without that money, we wouldn't be talking arenas anymore.
If hindsight's 2020, should council, let's say 2 councils ago, I'm trying to think the math on it, should they have run with it pre-COVID, and we would have an arena now and we'd be millions more to the good?
I mean, absolutely. If you look back what the costs were, pre-COVID and during those terms where they had an arena design, and again, I don't like the design that was designed, but still they could have ran with it and got it, the tender out and got the pricing, and it would have been not half the cost, but it would have been substantially cheaper. And so for whatever reason, the council of the day decided not to go ahead. I can't really speak for them. So I just want to talk about that money a bit. And so when we came on council, and I had several meetings with our MP, because the money, of course, is federal money, and said, could we redesign the arena? And he said, yeah, you probably could. Can we move the money to another site? And he said, no. He said that when that application was made, it was at the Omisho site, and it's tied to that site. So that kind of ended the discussion.
Was there a reason for that, other than?
Well, he represents not only North Bay, he represents an area, a geographical area, right, which includes East Ferris, and I think, I don't know if Mattawa's included or not, but anyway, it's a bigger area, right? So it's not just a North Bay contribution, it's for the whole area. So I think that, in his mind, that was a good site, and he said, you could go back, but I doubt that you'd get the support to move the money to another site, because your application, the reason why we were successful, because we had kind of a ready, not a shovels in the ground quite, but we had a design and everything, and so we were able to get the money based on those plans and the location and those kinds of things, right? So we couldn't move the money, so we had to stay at Omisho. As far as I was concerned, that was just fine, because we needed to get the project going and to start to, back to square one. We would just lose another year or two, and I didn't see that would be any advantage to doing that. So anyway, we as a council, we did confirm that was the site. And the council did agree 6-5 to go out to tender with the design that was available at the time, and that was the one that came in at $71 million, right? Construction costs. That's construction costs. So our council rejected that cost, And so we went back to redesign the building. So I did get my one goal, which is to redesign the building and get a much more functional design.
Do I understand some of your issues with the previous design was that it was on two different, one was on the rock, one was not on the rock, but this one is, both pads are on the rock?
Well, yeah, part of the geotech, the information out there was, so the portion of the arena, which would have been the southern rink, was all on very poor clay conditions and a lot of silt, and it varied in depth from 30 feet to 10 feet. It was all over the map, right? So the answer to that was very extensive, they call them deep foundation systems, which is piling, and these micro piles go down into the bedrock. They actually drill into the bedrock and they thread a rod in, and so everything's connected. But then, so you get the whole building is supported on these micro piles, and then
like the hospital.
Yeah, but very inconsistent soil. So it meant that everything in the building, first there'd be a structural slab that connects all the micropiles, and so these grade beams, which are huge in size, have to go on top of all of the micropiles, and then the building itself sits on top of the grade beams. There's actually a slab poured that with tons of rebar, and it all connects together, so it won't move because it's resting on the bedrock below, right?
Kind of like a foundation on stilts?
Well, it's like building an arena on a third floor of a building, almost. I mean, or 30 feet up in some cases, right? And so, so the foundation is expensive and it was complicated. But beyond that, all the services that would run under a slab, like plumbing, wiring, and stuff, all had to be suspended. It couldn't just sit on the grade like we normally do in construction. So that added huge costs as well. So anyway, the building was very expensive, and then they had differential. They had a line through the two buildings so that if they moved differently, they wouldn't impact on one another, right? So anyway, it was. I'm glad we're on pretty much all bedrock. We're not quite out of the woods on that yet, but when they, once we approve the go-ahead, they'll blast and they'll excavate all around there, and the lower parts will get filled in with engineered rock. Like basically, they'll fill it in properly, and it'll become one level.
It was interesting in this past election. There was a group, you being one, that were really adamant that this isn't the right location. There was a number of different things when it came to it, and I'm like, okay, that arena is not going to go up there. There's like some really, which include the mayor. Right, the mayor and others. And it's like,
yes,
there's other locations that could be better, and da-da-da-da. I'm a little surprised that really it was the MP that made the final call on it. It's like you couldn't move him off his stance of having it there. And I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about there's some very politically astute people that couldn't, in my impression, couldn't move the MP away from that. Is that the case? Because the mayor did not want that.
Yeah, no. Mayor Cherico was clear. Yeah, he didn't like the site, and I'm sure that he would have talked to our Anthony Rhoda as well, right, and to get his take on it. And so I guess, I mean, there was
basically you guys were between a rock and a hard place on that issue.
You needed the money.
Yeah,
needed the money. I just didn't realize, like you, when you asked the question, Dave, it's like, hey, what's the big, I guess it's a political, I want it there because it's closer to other constituents and different, everybody can take advantage of it. But it's like really interesting how you couldn't move the MP off of that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I've never asked him exactly what was in his mind, but he just said it would be very difficult to go back to the minister responsible at the time and ask him to not only have a redesign, but to move locations, right? Mm-hmm. So I think he was saying, well, one or the other, but not both, right? Because you jeopardize your funding, and I think probably that's more of his concern is that he knew we needed the money. Right. So,
and it was guaranteed. And so it's not guaranteed if you go back again.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The financial concerns that the mayor and yourself and others on their platforms said it wasn't just not that now is not the right time because of the financial investment that was necessary, but that has changed.
Well, again, we know in not too distant future we're going to need another arena, right? We have West Ferris that's on last legs, and we also have Plangio, not the greatest facility in the world, right? So if we don't make this investment now and we turn away $26 million and say we'll leave that off, we'll take it off the table, so we don't have that. So in 5-6 years or whatever, if we need the arena, now where we're at a much more expensive building, and we don't have $26 million in our pocket. So,
and it looks like interest rates are trending down.
Yes,
considerably since you guys were elected.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, we're at Bank of Canada raised 3.75 now, down from whatever it was, almost 6 or whatever.
You guys get a better rate than me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Infrastructure Ontario gives us a very good rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's higher than the whatever prime is or whatever the
Yeah, it's
government.
very close, though. I can tell you it's very close. And it'll be interesting when we, because we'll be another 2 years, depending on how our the funding's being used up, we'll be 2 years into it before we need to go to get a debenture, right? So maybe we'll be at 2.5 or, I mean, everybody expects and they predict the interest rates to keep going down slowly. So we'll be in a good situation for the amount of money that we have to borrow, right? We still have to borrow about $10 million on this project, right? And that's always been the case.
As for the design that's on the table right now, the upgraded design, I'm on record saying it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's not just a tin box. And I am concerned a little bit about the amount of fans that can watch.
Right.
Right? It doesn't seem to be an arena where we're going to be able to hold very large sporting events.
So,
or not even the medium ones. It's going to be pretty small.
Yeah, so I think Hockey Ontario and stuff has their guidelines for certain level tournaments that you have to have a certain amount of seating, right? And our initial go at this was 750 seats in the tournament rink. They called it 750 spectators. That also included the walking track and standing around the track, right? So we're now part of the design process, and to keep the cost down, because we were concerned about costs, was we asked for 250 seating in each arena, and then with the one arena with the walking track above, it'll trend up towards 350 people that can watch the event. So, talking to people like Stan Butler, I had a lot of conversations with him early and say, well, what do you really need? Well, most tournaments, other than the two teams in the final, everybody gets in a bus and goes home after they're knocked out, right? So you don't need a lot of seating, and he felt that was sufficient, that kind of a number, right? So,
do you have any other concerns about that project before we go on to any other questions?
Well, so we just on the pricing in our this progressive design that we've entered into with Ellis Don, and when the presentation was made, they had talked about the initial pricing was at $65 million, and we clarified it was trending downwards to the total project cost of $59.5 is what we had said in council is our target, right? So since then they've worked to, one of the key points at that time was, believe it or not, was still the arena was over the poor soil, so they moved it onto the bedrock. That saved at least $2 million, maybe a bit more. So the cost was trending down. We eliminated some things on the outside, which was the entrance had a huge canopy. The canopy's smaller, so they've done some picking different materials that are less costly and stuff to try and bring that down. So at $59.5, that includes the design cost, which was $2.6 million. It also includes we have to have a contingency fund within that $59.5, right? So the challenge now is to figure out how much of a contingency we need, which is usually 4 or 5%, and then fit that all in and still bring it all in at 59.5, right? So we might have to remove something else on at least a temporary basis out of the design until we get, past the foundation phase, and then to see where our contingency fund is, and then it could be kicked back in, right?
Change rooms. Take the change rooms out.
Oh yeah,
No,
they
we
go
won't.
over well.
We're at, so, most of the new rinks that are being built have 12 change rooms. We have 14, but partly that's because we're trying to serve some of the field sports, right?
Right.
Not just for hockey here. It will really be a injection into the field sport use out there, because now if you're holding an event, you have a place you can register, or you have washrooms. I mean, we do have washrooms out there, but you have more washrooms. You can get changed. You don't have to bring your kit and change in the car kind of
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
So it will be a great thing for the overall complex out there.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet perfect, eh? Like even the change room thing. I heard somebody say that if you have two football games back to back, there's there's hockey going on. Yeah, you're going to have to plan a little bit better because you're not going to have enough rooms.
Yeah, so when you think about a hockey rink, it needs 4 change rooms, right? So you have 2 people or 2 teams on ice, and then 2 teams are coming to change and get ready to go on ice. So you need 4 for each rink. That's 8. So that leaves us 6 change rooms. But those change rooms for football, 2 becomes 1.
Yep.
So the numbers shrink, right? So I know that they've been looking at scheduling and stuff to say, well, how do we mitigate that if we need more change rooms, and how do we schedule it so that, if football had a big event there, what would we do in the hockey part of it to kind of reduce the need? So anyway, it's probably one of those things that won't happen very often, and so therefore to say, well, we just won't schedule the hockey rink for this small amount of time may not be a big deal.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's thinking outside the penalty box.
So
That's
let's think about that area. So let's talk about West Ferris for a second, because one of the things that you had run on in the past was about building, and you have a background in building. Mm-hmm. You were a builder for many years. The West Ferris area is all ready to be built, right? It's all, the infrastructure is all in place, ready to go. But it doesn't seem to, this is the part I don't understand about building. If we need homes, why are homes not being built in West Ferris? And why is there not growth when people are looking for housing and affordable housing? And maybe it's my simplistic question that's probably highly complex.
And add to that, we do know there's homes being built off of Booth, and there's ongoing sort of development there. But there's lots of places where there could be more homes, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's all the infrastructure's in place.
Yeah. So, so I guess the first answer, part of the answer is there are subdivision plans that have been filed out in West Ferris area that are sitting there ready to go. But somebody has to take those, and they have to move it off of the waiting list and actually put in infrastructure and all that. Right? The developer's responsible for the roads, the sewers, and all that stuff. And then finally the city takes over the road and stuff once it's all developed, right? So it's very expensive. So you have to have deep pockets to get into that game. So I think that might be part of it, to develop those subdivisions. So you see it in a lot of one-off lots here and there, and houses going up. But the other answer to the construction problem right now is it's very, very expensive, right? To build a house, it's like $400 a square foot, more or less. So 1,000 square foot house is $400,000 plus the lot. You're at $500,000. Well, it's not a starter home, really, is it?
No.
Right?
Yeah. I remember when there's a sub 150 square foot for construction.
Doesn't seem that long ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, construction of a house is expensive, and the trades all, their costs went up, and they charge more per hour, and I'd say most wages in the construction industry doubled over the course of COVID. So you can imagine if you were paying a laborer $50, or if they were charging out a laborer at $50, they might not be paying them that. They might be paying them $25. Well, now they're charging a laborer out at $90, and they're paying them more like $40, right? So. So it's a problem because it's so expensive, and then the materials are expensive.
North Bay Echo is proud to partner with Twiggs Coffee Roasters, a part of the community since 1995. Twiggs offers a wide selection of quality beans, fresh roasted in-house every day. Find your favorite specialty drinks at our espresso bar. Rejuvenate with freshly squeezed juice, or treat yourself to mouth-watering selections from our gourmet deli. And don't forget our irresistible fresh baked goods, including uncompromising gluten-free options. Twiggs has 5 locations to serve you, from North Bay to Sturgeon Falls to Sudbury. Order online for pickup at twigs.ca. And coming soon, you'll be able to order fresh roasted coffee beans direct to your doorstep from our distribution center in North Bay.
There's this one proposal that you guys were discussing at council about a couple little homes on the lot that up near Sunset off of Banner,
that's Sunset, and it was so they severed that there was a main parcel of land there that got severed into 6 lots. One retained the existing duplex on it, and then the proposal, although it's never guaranteed, was to put 2 tiny homes on each lot, right, around 400 square feet each. And the one home would be the primary residence, and the second one would be considered an additional dwelling unit on that lot, which is allowed under the current Ford government. And we adopted it here in the city. So, yeah. So, they got the zoning changes to do all that. Whether they build that or not, well, we'll see, I mean, I think the developer was keen on trying to help the housing situation and seemed to be a legit guy that's concerned about, it's very hard to get into a home ownership.
Mm-hmm. Town hall. Let's talk about the town hall situation. I know you have an opinion on it. You want to see some changes.
Well, so you saw recently that, Councillor Inch, and I think it was seconded by Councillor Lowry, to ask that.
That's unusual, those two voting together.
Yeah. Anyway, they put forward a motion to review the policy on the townhouse halls to make it more friendly and see if we couldn't improve, the way it's held and things like that. So,
how would you like to see it?
Well, I like the 5-minute presentations back at council, right? I like the ability, at least, to register without giving you could give a topic, but you shouldn't have to give your whole presentation. I always felt, and by the way, I did I was in front of city council a lot back in the day, maybe at least a dozen times.
Weren't you vice president of the Taxpayers Association?
I was part of the Taxpayers Association at one time, right? And I, my main beef with the city at the time was when they brought in the residential water meters, right? And
I agree with you on that.
The residential rate was far more expensive than the commercial, industrial, institutional rate, right? And I just said, how can that be that a guy that runs a car wash and makes money pays less for water than the family of 4 that's trying to wash their kids and do their laundry and all those kinds of things, right? So I was in front of the city council quite a bit on that issue. And then finally it took some time, but they did align the rates to be very similar between commercial and the residential. So
you like the idea of somebody being able to present something and councillors to ask questions and have a little bit of a dialogue?
Yeah, I think that's healthy. And if you're smart, you can extend 5 minutes. As long as there's some councillors that ask some questions and you leave some things unsaid, then you can make a bigger. You get more time at the mic if you want, right? If you're leaving certain things out and then they ask, well, what about that? And you can go on for another. There's no limit after that, right? So, Yeah.
I was talking to somebody that was from the council that changed the procedural bylaw to its present form, and this person was saying that people don't realize it's better off this way because they get to say whatever they want, and it's not muddled with council questions and answers, so that the media coverage will focus in on the presentation. And I told the person I said, but that's not right either. What we want is actually the finished product of a conversation, so we all gain understanding. It's not just so somebody can have a podium to speak from. It's actually for all of us to gain more through dialogue. And that person didn't agree with me, but yeah.
Well, if in the older format, when we had presentations and somebody might get up and speak, somebody else sitting there would go, you know what, I want to add to that. Well, there's no way they can, in the current format, add to anything that's made at a presentation. But I also understand, they were trying to limit some of it when, for example, fluoride in water treatment. Well, we had probably 10 very well-spoken individuals all speak on the same issue. So that 5 minutes went to 50 minutes because they had 10 people lined up to speak to it. So you could make some rules that the topic has to be limited to 3 people or something. I mean, you could probably come away with a better set of rules to mitigate some of those issues.
Yeah, I think the pendulum just swung too far.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. And how has things changed for you personally when it comes to politics? I would think, because I've thought about it in the past, I would never do it now. But
you're smart.
But I'd have all these, and I've read some of your early platforms, what you wanted to do and coming into council. And the one thing I had heard, and this is all anecdotal, is some people said, I would have thought I would have heard more from Gary Gardiner once he was on council. I don't know, like pounding on the desk or whatever their impression was going into it. Because I think you had some really powerful ideas. What changes, Gary, once you're into the fog of war, once you're into it?
So it's not a war. And so if you want to be influential and get stuff done, sometimes you work behind the scenes. I'm not saying it's not nefarious or anything, but you work with staff and you try to bring your views forward through staff somewhat rather than pound the table at the council chambers. And so, often I will remain speechless throughout the whole council meeting because I've done my work ahead of time. I've talked to staff. I've tried to understand whatever was the issue, right? So I often won't say anything. I don't need to get a sound bite.
Dave, I want to ask, as Gary's talking here, so this is probably Jamie Lowry's challenge, right?
That's where
he'll play it out publicly, which we as, people that vote and stuff go, I like someone's fighting for me and that. But if you want to get stuff done, you'll be the 9 to 2. You'll be the 2 in the 9 to 2. You have to work behind the scenes, politically maneuvering is what you're saying, right?
Right. No, I honestly believe that. And I mean, everybody talks about, council should tell staff what to do and staff wags the dog and all those kinds of things, right? Well, we have very good staff overall. And you got to remember, that's their livelihood, and they've been doing it for some of them 30 years. And they go, well, here's this, this new council wants to tell us what to do. Well, there's more to the story, right? There's reasons why we've evolved in over 30 years to do things certain ways. And so it's not so simple as sometimes the council thinks, right? And
like they can't just institute a way to book ice time through online like everybody else. There's a reason for that, yeah?
Well, we're getting to our online booking. That class booking system is, as you heard, the RFP is going out. It's delayed longer than I want, but I did, we've been pushing,
That's probably a good example of what he's talking about because it was something you're quite aware of. And
so that class booking system, I did talk to, John Severino about it. Why is it being delayed? Because we passed it in our budget meetings, and we talked about how great this was going to be, and that would allow people to book online, and it might save some staff time. And then you go, so where is it, right? And you go, so I go ask questions. Well, where is it? Well, it's here, it's there, whatever. And I guess they initially wanted to go without an RFP. They wanted to go directly to the vendor, which is Class Booking Systems, because that's the system that most municipalities use. And then, purchasing said, we're looking at it, but no, we believe you have to do the RFP. So it gets bogged down sometimes internally, and for good reasons, because they're trying to make sure that they do everything according to, all the rules out there in terms of...
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're winding down to our end, but I want to ask you, are you running for mayor next?
No.
You came so close, though.
You know what? I love being a councillor. I honestly do. I enjoy it, and I watch Mayor Cherko, and I go, oh my God, I can't. Like he puts in tons of time, and he gets saddled with all kinds of headaches, and you go, wow, I'm so glad I can. At the end of the day, I can go home, or I don't have to address all those.
So you think you
things.
found your sweet spot as far as municipal politics go?
Yeah. I think it suits me just perfect. Yeah, and I'm really happy to do it, and it's almost like I can't believe I get paid to do it too. I mean, it's not great pay, but at least at the end of the day, you can justify some of your time.
Yeah, I have to say I didn't know Gary Gardiner at the time, but going back when he ran for mayor, how many votes did you miss out on? Was it like 400?
No, I think it was more 1,000 or something. Like
But it was like at that time,
Yeah.
People said, nobody can beat Al McDonald.
Yeah.
I think you changed the course of whether Al was going to run again, because you didn't have the same notoriety as he did, and you came close.
Yeah.
Only 1,000 votes.
I mean, we worked hard.
Yeah.
I had a great campaign team, and I think that's really, very sophisticated. And we did advertising on the radio, and we did all those kinds of things, signs, and.
But I'll have to say about that. You went and doing your part in getting the word out. You would go to different people, and you went to John Cutsey.
Oh yeah.
And do you know this story, Dave?
I know a little bit about it.
So, and I was on this email thread. I don't know all the people who were in it, but there was a ton of people in it. And Gary goes and speaks to John Cutsey, and John's a very vocal person, right? He was quite enamored by Gary. He loved the message that Gary was saying and what the future of the city and where should we go. And John, like, very much when he gets on something, he wants everybody to know. So he pushes out an email. I just met with Gary Gardiner. Everybody has to sit down with Gary. This guy's got a great vision. John just speaks like, this is it. This guy's going on Mount Rushmore. This is our guy. And then I look at who he sent it to, and it was like in that email thread, I don't think Al was on it, but Al's campaign manager was on it. There was all these Al's friends, all these different things. And I went, oh, this is going to be interesting how it goes down. And I never saw emails after that, but my understanding was there was some people that really didn't like what John was saying. And then so, but you say to John, you can't do this. And John's like, I can't do what?
Yeah.
And then John said, I'm supporting your campaign, Gary.
Yeah.
He got on the radio. He was a huge supporter of yours. That was tell John he can't do something. He's going to lean all in.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So, it's, and he would argue with his friends, and he had side bets.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You came close, man. Nobody thought anybody would come close to Al McDonald.
One thing I do want to, I remember that campaign fairly well, and I know one of the issues is that you didn't think the city should be expanding its services out there, and of course, up on Laroque Road was an issue. Some people thought that wasn't needed, and now there's like lots of houses up there going up.
Okay, so that was a standpipe issue, right? And so I just said, we're investing before we need to, right? When you build assets like a standpipe, well, it starts to deteriorate the day you commission it, right? And so it's been sitting there for 5-6 years now. Other than the the main trunk that feeds it, there's nothing beyond the standpipe to feed those subdivisions yet. We'll have to spend another $10 million to go all the way up Laroque Road to be able to service those subdivisions, right? $10 million included in that. It's called a booster pump system. So it takes the water from the tower, and then it keeps it at a constant pressure, pushes it up the line, right? That booster pumps was $4 million. It's probably $5-6 million. Like, there's a lot more costs that have to go into that subdivision.
About 2 years ago, I went up there and I did a little thing because they were trickling water out of it because they needed to release pressure or something.
Well, yeah. So there's chlorine residuals, right? So if the residuals get too low, it means that the water's no longer safe, right? So when they filled that big tank up and it wasn't being used, I mean, it did feed back to the university and the college, right? So it did do its purpose there, and that helped. To be honest, we wanted better pressure up there for fire suppression and all that. So that part, it was part of the objective, right? So what they did is water and sewer, they decided to feed a line all the way back down to McEwen. So it's like another looping thing. Right. So now the water loops back down. So we're not wasting water anymore. We were for a while. Yeah. For a couple of years there, we were wasting it because of the chlorine residual count, whatever. So yeah, but we will see
if that's
more
a
development
good
there
investment
eventually. But it's very expensive to put in a subdivision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any one thing that you learned since being elected as a councillor that shocked you and the reality check that you can talk to us about?
So, not that you learn, but you have to become more patient, right? So, well, you think that this should happen over a course of a couple months. Sometimes it's more like 6 months, right? Things take longer. They just do. So I continue to push on stuff, right? But it's basically, I think they're getting used to me now. But yeah.
So the reality check is that there is a bureaucratic sort of pace to things, and sometimes for good reasons, and that you just have to be patient about that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've seen our operational review and the timelines rolled out just the other council meeting, and it's slower than I want, but internally we hope that we can go faster than what's shown there. But it's just so that you can meet your goals and objectives and not fall short of them. So sometimes timelines get extended for that reason. Yeah.
So, Gary, when you go into the City Hall, do you look at the windows and go, what is going on with those windows? They're all different shades.
Well, it's a mosaic, right? It represents our multicultural...
I can't move my agenda forward on the window issue. Nobody seems to take my window issue.
I thought you had sort of come to...
I just need to ask councillors.
Yeah.
Well, is it only me?
Though. It's the diversity thing,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we're looking at which seals have failed, right? If they're failing, we'll replace it. If they're still good, we're going to get more life out of it. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the glass is not the same color or whatever. I don't know why they can't.
That's the key issue, because I know people involved in this project.
Right.
The suppliers that say those windows can be matched, and
the glass could be.
Yes.
Is there a premium cost to that, or it's
actually cheaper than what you're doing now?
Okay, well, I like the mosaic thing. I'm going with that.
Even though this window issue.
One last thing, and it's a bit of a plug. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, but we've started doing sportscasts with local sports coverage. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't yet. But
I'm going to send you a link, definitely, because I think you would appreciate that, because you were a national wrestler for Canada, 1975. Where did you go?
I was in Minsk, which was the Soviet Union back then, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and I think you were also in the early 80s somewhere.
Well, I coached. I was in Seoul, Korea, when Ben Johnson had his famous drug scandal. And I was in the 92 was Barcelona Olympics, which I ran our national team more or less. And we did quite well. We had one silver medalist, and
And one of the things in tomorrow's sportscast, which comes out on Friday, I talked to a gentleman that was on the 1954 North Bay Rough Riders team. He's 91 now. And what we talked about was how sports helps you develop for your career other than sports, as well as your life, and to be a good parent and all those things. And look at yourself. Now you're serving the community in a very good fashion. And I think you learned probably some patience as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great, you got a lot of life lessons there, and you develop life skills that are important later on. And certainly you need to, in sport, you got to be cool. You can't lose your temper. Otherwise, everything goes out the window, right? And you got to be patient, but you have to work hard. Probably more than anything else. You have to train and be very dedicated to the cause you want to get somewhere, right?
Well, good life lessons with that. So that's why we do the sportscast, is to show people, we're focusing on high school, but we're also doing other sports, and it follows you through life. And I think it's one of those character builders.
Agreed. Great having you in, Gary.
Yeah,
thanks, and thanks for doing the good work you're doing.
Yeah, this is our first mini town hall.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to do more.
Yeah.
We appreciate this very much.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
This has been another Echo Essentials podcast.
I'm Scott Clark.
And I'm Dave Dale. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and signing up for the newsletter at northbayecho.ca.
This weekend, make your way to Casey's Restaurant in North Bay for an unforgettable get-together. Dive into our delicious appetizers and enjoy the best drafts in town. It's the perfect spot to unwind, catch up with friends, and savor great flavors. Don't miss out on the fun. Join us at Casey's for a weekend filled with good food, great drinks, and even better company.